Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to another exciting Obvio Q&A. Um, I'm clearly not at home. I am away at the moment, and so just getting a few things sorted out. It's hard when you're not in your own habitat, natural habitat, trying to make all these things work, but got it working. Um, cool, cool.
Because
Um,
you don't just want to peddle a product. You don't just want to make
oh,
a little bit of money.
thanks. Uh, uh, all right. Thanks for being away and showing up. That's all right. Happy to look at that. This is great. We've got a whole bunch of people coming in. So the questions on the dashboard. So if you put if you see where the button was to join this meeting, just below there, there's ask a question. You can put your questions in there, and that's where we'll work through them. And we'll see who we get today. This is great. We keep getting new people along. We're getting more activity that's happening in the Facebook group as well. And so that's a good place to, I think it's a good place to ask questions about, how you do something, particularly where you know that other users may be able to answer, because you may get a quicker response. Um, than waiting for our support. So that's a good way to use the Facebook group for asking particular questions. Very good. All right, I'm going to pull up the questions, see if people have got questions in there now. Let's have a look. So we use a form, as you can see on the dashboard for the questions, and then we've got another little system that we hope to make available at some point as another feature to manage the questions and see them. That is something that we'd like to do at some point. But it is just a form, and it's using a webhook, which is where it sends the data off to something else, and so it sends off to another server, and that's where we can see our questions. But lots of people use, and we did for quite a long time, is Slido. Um, Slido as a place to capture questions, and so you can embed that on the dashboard, and that can work quite effectively. In fact, you'll see that Clint, I think it was, in the Facebook group, had a little video of how he was doing it. And it was exactly that, putting Slido on the dashboard, and then even having it so that it would log the person into Slido, or at least the Slido would know who they are, the first name, last name, so that when they came to ask a question or type in a question, they didn't have to put their name in because the dashboard already knows who they are, and that was passing that to Slido. So isn't that interesting, me answering a question that nobody asked? How do you manage questions? Um, all right. Okay. Got some good ones here. All right. First one here. Christy, I came to announce that I created my first dashboard, opened a room, invited a guest, and sent a broadcast email. No questions yet because nothing's broken yet. Well done, Christy. Nice work. That's awesome. And that's a great use case of just actually playing around with it. And you learn where you can scale then, right? If I can do it with one person, I should be able to do it with 10 or 20 or 50 or 100. Um, so or 30,000 as we're doing with an event soon. So totally possible. Well done. Um, okay. So first question here. Oh, Blue has snuck in, but is lurking in the background. Oh, now I'm nervous about my responses. I like it when he's not here. I can get away with my answers. All right, Esther. I got stuck after creating my organization and naming my event. Left side panel did not appear for me to select a template. How can I release myself when I get stuck like that? That's a good question. Esther, are you here? Don't think. Maybe. Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Uh, Hello. Hey.
Hello.
Um, can you explain a bit more where you got stuck? So you created the event and then you went to choose the template, but you couldn't see that?
Yes, I just answered the questions, what is your organization? And so I gave my organization a name and then the event. But
Hmm.
then I got stuck. But fortunately, today, after I asked the question, I went back to the dashboard, the Obvio dashboard, and
Hmm.
I was able to, I clicked the menu, which I don't remember ever clicking before. Maybe I did, but I didn't. So I decided to reduce the size of my screen.
Hmm.
And then I clicked on the menu and the left panel thing came. So
Okay.
I selected the template I wanted to use. I want to use the classic template, but then
Hmm.
I couldn't go any further. I wanted to see where I can sign in as an attendee and then test what will happen. But then I couldn't. I tried many things. I couldn't find where to go. And
How to test as an attendee?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. I can I can show you that. Let me change those around a little bit. Yeah, so something that is worth playing around with is
Mm-hmm.
the screen size. I think that might have been where you got caught out, where the screen size might have been collapsing the menu and it wasn't clear for
Mm,
you how to get the menu back. So
yes.
play around with that on your screen sizes. Obviously, screen sizes can vary, and so but you can also zoom your browser window, and that might be helpful to play with too. So when you're on if you're on a Mac, it's Command plus and minus. If you're on PC, it's Control plus and minus, and that will decrease and increase the size of what you're viewing in the browser. And you may find that just zooming out a little bit, you can see a bit more on your particular computer. So that's worth just
Mhm.
having a little play with. But I'll bring up this event that we're in now. I could share this right here. Okay. So I've just come in. I'm actually in Zoom areas at the moment, but the event settings and template is where you sort of were before as far as being able to choose all of that. When we're looking at the design and dashboard, and you're seeing what the dashboard looks like, so you're familiar with this one because this is what you just saw when you came in. Um, what you can do is there's two ways of previewing. One is to go right at the top here and toggle this preview. So right in the top right hand corner, you can hit preview, and that sort of turns off all of the editing functions of the dashboard and just shows you roughly what it will look like as an attendee. So you can see how that works. But but the best way, to be absolutely sure what it looks like for an attendee is to go to attendees, um, find an attendee, and then you can hit this little button here. You can copy their login link, or you can simply go and click this button, and that's just going to open that in a new tab, a new window. And it's going to log. It's now logged in as happen to be as me. If I look over here, I can see I'm logged in as me. And now this is exactly how it will look for that person. And that's really good for testing. If you create an attendee, it can be a bogus attendee, just for your testing. And then you open it as you can see here. And now you can see exactly what the attendee is going to view. You can test all of your buttons and things like that. Does that make sense? That's helpful. Yep. You're muted at the moment, but I think you're just saying yes. Hmm.
Yeah,
Very
I said yes, I will try it. I'll go there and try it.
okay, great.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. Just gonna get one more thing open on this screen here. You can see that Blue's not actually listening; he's just watching. You can see everyone knows that, like when there's no microphone next to the name and they haven't connected to audio. It is handy sometimes, probably in another meeting, but he joined this one, left audio, can still see it there. So everyone wave at Blue. You'll be thinking, why are they all waving? Very, very good. um, I saw a little video. People might have seen it on all the socials of a teacher, and he comes into the Zoom, and it was like none of the students had their cameras on. He's like, "Oh, have I done something where you can't turn your cameras on? What's going on? I can't see." And they said, "Oh no, we're doing something now, everyone." And so then everyone turns on their cameras, and they're all holding up thank you messages. And of course he just starts crying and stuff, and it's just awesome. It was like one of those little moments of like, how how would you have that type of experience in person? There's something that's super unique about that um that happened online. That only happened online because it was like this. I am by myself, and then 30 people turn on their cameras and are all saying, beautiful messages, thank you, like, of course it was just overwhelming for him. Um, anyway, I just thought of that. I'm always thinking these experiences that we had, particularly through COVID, everyone was just thrust into doing these meetings. But there is something that has has remained that I think we take it for granted a little bit how it is that we're able to connect like this all around the world. We'll just join another Zoom meeting. Oh, we'll just jump on. There'll just be how about 25 of us just jump on and talk about how we're doing our online events or whatever it is like, and I can see your faces and we can talk and we can, work it all through. I don't know. Maybe I'm tired and it's the morning. I'm a bit more emotional or sensitive or something, but I feel like I'm just appreciative of what we're able to do now, and that more people are able to connect with it. And I don't think we would have done it. It's one of those things that COVID sort of pushed us 5 years into the future, I think, because it was now people just are thinking, yeah, I can join a virtual event. Yeah, that sounds great. You know, I haven't got the money to fly and pay for accommodation and all that stuff, but I can join this one from home and I can, do that all well, and you can have these amazing moments. Um, yeah. Anyway, I've got to get back to the question. Uh, all right, Hattie, we set up as that. Oh yeah, Kajabi to Obvio. We check this. Also, we are trying to optimize the dashboard and have some questions. How to give access to the guest speaker? What is the protocol for the green room? Set the all access rule, set up the leaderboard. Okay. All right, you're doing it all.
Hey, Grant.
Yeah.
That was Jeff. I logged in as the wrong person.
Oh, okay. No worries, Jeff.
All
All
right.
good. Good to see you.
It's
Um,
good to see you.
so all right, let me work backwards a little bit. So talking about how to get speakers in. So how many attendees have you got are you expecting, Jeff?
Well, I don't know, 50 to 200 range, 250 at the
Great.
most.
Yep. So so you're in one Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
All of your attendees are in one Zoom meeting. So as far as speakers go, and you have a speaker that's kind of just flying in for a session and then out they go, is that kind of the idea, or?
Yeah, so they'll be digitally coming in to Zoom. Yeah.
Yep. So, so the way that, particularly for a single room event, a single Zoom meeting event, if you've got all of your attendees and all of your contributors in that one event,
Yeah.
then you want to get your speakers access to that same meeting. Now, there's a couple of different ways. The reason I was qualifying that is because Obvio specializes in multi Zoom meeting events, which is how we scale above 1,000 people, right? So all of our Zoom meetings can have up to 1,000 people in them. As soon as you go over 1,000, then you start adding more Zoom meetings, and
Yeah.
then you need to have hardware to make all that happen. So sometimes, even with a single room event, sorry, you might have a green room or a separate stage where you have a separate room, a separate Zoom meeting for your speakers to join, and that's where they present from. Now that requires a whole bunch more hardware in making it where taking the video and audio from one Zoom meeting and pushing it into another. Most of the time with smaller events, you don't need to do that. But there are times when we do that, where we have panels or we have lots of moving, lots of things happening, where we might have we might have a panel, or we might have two panels. There was an event that I did a little while ago where we had it would go from one panel, and then 2 minutes later a whole nother panel, and then back to another panel, and then another panel. So what we're able to do is breakout rooms within a separate Zoom meeting and have them in separate Zoom meetings. Here's the panel, and then we were able to cut to that, and that's using hardware and things. Anyway, I'm going to need to get back to your question, but I'm just defining the difference when you have a speaker, where they're going, green room as an example of where you want them to be and where you want to meet with them. You have to think about what is that flow for that person. So it is possible to have a separate Zoom meeting that you call green room, and that's where you do your little tech check and hellos and logistics with the speaker, half an hour before they go on. Nothing special. That doesn't have to be anything special. It can just be another Zoom meeting. And you can, I'll show you a couple of things here about ways to get them into those. So I'll share again. I missed the I missed the chat. I'm a little bit scatterbrained today, as you may have noticed. I like sentimental Grant. All right. So I'm going to share again. We're going to look at Zoom areas. Well, let's look at the dashboard for a second, because there's a couple of different ways you can get people in. If you're thinking everyone hit this, join the call, right? That's how people got in, and it's all just simple join area, pick the Zoom area, and away it goes. Now, there's nothing stopping you making another button that's called Green Room, and you can actually hide. So let's just say, let's just
Do you want to do that on our
well,
dashboard?
it depends. It depends if this is what. So, a couple of questions too, or things to think about is: do you want your speakers to be able to access the dashboard? Because it's possible for them to just bypass it. We talk about this a little bit, where we're saying, is the speaker really invested in the event, or really connected to the event, or are they really just coming in, doing their session, doing their tricks, and then they leave?
Yeah,
So, and if it's more like that, you probably don't necessarily need to confuse them with dashboards and buttons and things like that. But
you're
you
right.
can, yeah. So you can simply do. If we go to Zoom areas here, you'll see this. So let's just go to this one called spare area. We created one, right? And
You understand?
here, and then what we do is we go to the room, the number here, number 1, and click on that, and you've got this thing called registration enabled, which is not a great word. I don't think it's a bit confusing, that. But anyway, the function of what this does for a Zoom meeting is it creates this link, and this is the link that you can send to a speaker. And what will
Gotcha.
happen is they'll simply go to this page that's based on the theme and how you've got your theme set up. And they put the first name, last name, email, join room, and it goes to Zoom. That's it. So it launches Zoom, and they're in. So that could be a green room that they're going to, or it could be your main attendee Zoom meeting.
Nice.
And when you see them come in, then you could quickly put them into a breakout room or something, and that's where one of your team could do a quick check with them and check in with them, and do what they need. They need a cup of water or something. So you can check with them on that. But
Yeah.
that's a way of getting
I
them in.
I like that because you might have a guest that's not a tech savvy, but they have a great presentation, and you just want to get them in to the main stage, quickly
Mhm.
send them to a breakout, do a quick tech check, and then bring them back when we're ready for them.
Yeah.
Is that
So
the flow?
yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, like the things we think about is when it works. If it works big, it works small.
Yeah.
Um, and the idea of having a separate meeting, being able to like a lot of the events actually all of the events that I run with Obvio, we always have a green room, and we have a green room which is also it's also the hangout space for all of our team,
Oh,
the tech team, and the stakeholders. Now, I with my company in Australia, we sort of specialize in centerless events. Where there is no studio, there's no single center, place. Everyone's remote, and so all of our presenters are remote, all of our attendees, obviously, and then often all of our team, or a lot of our team. are remote. And so we find that having a green room space where we have all of our team and stakeholders brings us all together. And that's where we can make last minute, changes, or we can talk through things, or
That's
whatever it
great.
is.
Yeah.
And so that's always really handy to have. And so you can bring your speakers there and you can do a little check. And then you could provide them another link to the attendee Zoom. And you could do that. You can do that in Zoom. I think most people are familiar. If you drop a link into Zoom, and that would be that registration link, you could drop that into Zoom and ask them to click on that. They'll click on that. It'll ask them to put their first name, last name, email. They'll hit join room. And because they're already in Zoom, most people's experience will be that it'll say, would you like to leave this meeting and join the next one? So leave the green room and join the attendee Zoom, which is great. That's perfect. Just a little caveat, and that is that if people are logged into often a corporate Zoom account, it's possible that it's allowing multiple connections to Zoom or multiple Zoom meetings to be open at once. It's just something to be aware of, that if you are asking someone to join another Zoom meeting from an existing Zoom meeting, it's possible that they'll have both of them open at the same time. And of course, that can be a bit of a problem, which is what I was saying Blue is likely doing right now, right? He was able to open 2 Zoom meetings and then he left audio or disconnect from audio from this one, and then was able to play on with his next one. So does that kind of help? I'm trying to give some broader ideas about how you could manage getting speakers in.
Yeah.
So the absolute basic though is that you could use that registration link to the attendee Zoom, drop in here as soon as you see them there, then you could put them into a breakout room. So that's when you do a manually assigned breakout room, and you assign yourself or your team member, and the speaker, and now they're just in a breakout room, and that's totally hidden from your attendees. They can't see it at all.
Yep.
So that's that. Let me catch your other. You were talking about Kajabi. Now my experience with Kajabi is extremely limited, and I'm just seeing if I think we've got Muddy here today. I know that he's played with that a bit. Blue also has played with it somewhat. So we might come back to that, to the Kajabi specific stuff, if that's okay.
Okay.
What was your other?
Well, the
leaderboard?
dashboard, a couple questions on the dashboard
Mhm.
were uh, the all access rule, so that if somebody's in all access, that button disappears. How to set up the leaderboard. There was some sort of
Okay. So I can have a look at let me pull up yours. And I will just say to others that just kind of jump in if you've got a question relating to what I was talking about. So Robin, you're saying if you're in the green room, you're not watching the main room's presentation, correct? Yeah. So we have a few different ways of managing that. And one of those is that we then can create another feed that comes into the green room of the main presentation. And so we can hear it, and we can mute that if we need to have a conversation, and then we unmute it, and now everyone's seeing the same thing. So there is a lot of complexity that we have sort of with those that we've built up over time that we really like. It's all these extra features that we really like, being able to have these spaces that our team is able to work on. And they can often, people will have multiple devices. They have 2 computers, one with the green room and one with the main presentation. They might mute the main attendee Zoom, and be listening to the green room, and they can hear the attendee Zoom through that one. And then they're able to connect to the team as well. So there's a lot of there's a lot of things, and hopefully when I'm talking about this sort of stuff, some of you might be like, oh man, that's, you know, so complex, or how could I ever do any of that, or whatever. But it's more just having your brain sort of marinate in what is possible, you know? So you're just kind of thinking about, okay, that is another thing. As I scale, as the events get bigger, that's the type of thing I might need. I might get a couple of tech team to run some of these things for me, and how we do that. So just thinking about what's possible. Give the presenter another link to click the main room.
I'm just
Presenter.
wondering how the presenter would go, like if they were in the green room, how, if they're not tech savvy, or they're just, you know, just to make sure they get into the main room correctly,
Yeah.
can I bring them in, or do I have to give them like another link for them to click on and get in, or how would be the
Yeah.
best way to?
And this is where you've got to think about the architecture of your event. The most basic setup is that you've got one Zoom meeting with everyone, which are all of your attendees and your speakers and everyone, and you give that registration link, that registration enabled, which is how your speaker gets in. That makes it really simple, because now they're just putting in their name, kind of like a stage door access, you know.
Yes.
That's probably the name I would give it. And so now they come straight into Zoom, so they're not getting confused with multiple Zoom meetings, things like that. The reason that I'm sort of saying about green room, just to give you the full picture of how that works for us, what we do is, as a breakout room from the green room, that's our
So the green
stage.
break-
That becomes our stage. And so they don't ever have to leave that green room. And when we want them to present, we move them into a breakout room called stage, and that gets transmitted into the attendee Zoom. So that you kind of open this door from having just one Zoom meeting for everyone to,
Okay.
once you step into green rooms and multiple meetings and things like that, then it starts to
Yeah.
kind
see
of
that.
build and get larger and larger, but it makes it easier. And that's one of the key things that we think about, is what is the easiest for all of our contributors, the presenters and our team, where they're not messing with passwords and, you know, emails and logins and things like that. It's just, with this link, here you are. And as quickly as possible, they're getting to a human interaction. You know, so now I'm going to be able to walk you through this, and you look great, and, you know, let's tweak this and whatever it is, which you can still do. I think your question's really valid, Robin, is about not confusing speakers with multiple processes and links and different Zoom meetings. And so if your event doesn't warrant having a green room system and lots of multiple meetings, then giving them that stage door access, that registration link, straight into your attendee Zoom. As soon as you see them in your list, ideally you have a team member who's looking out for them, and they create the breakout room. They do a little check with them, make sure their screen share's working if that's what they're doing, that sort of stuff, and then you bring them back into that main the main area again, and away they go. So
Okay.
yeah, that's kind of the
Thank you.
thinking on that. Yeah. All right. You're talking. Okay. Jeff, I was looking for your dashboard. So yeah, feel free, everyone, particularly today, just unmute and chat away with me. Otherwise, I'm going to miss a lot of
Is
things.
that the name of our our event now?
Yeah, you can just.
All right.
You changed the
Hey,
name of it?
Grant.
Yes.
Grant, can you hear me? Hi, I'm Felicia. How are you?
Changed the name of
Hey,
it? Not
nice to
event.
meet you, Felicia.
Hi. Nice to meet you too. And I don't want to interrupt the process of being on Jeff's dashboard, but so I just wanted to get some clarity because I haven't worked on building out my dashboard yet myself. But I am more comfortable with Zoom meetings, though I haven't created a quote unquote event, but I've been on plenty, just straight Zooms as well as being in the Obvio setup that you guys built out. My question to you is, if you do have 100 or less people, could it just stay in the simple format of Zoom and offer the link and it doesn't have to go through the whole Obvio system? And you would recommend that, or is that what you've been, is that what you've been saying?
It's totally possible to do that. And just so we're looking at what are the pieces of Obvio. Obvio includes the licensing for Zoom, and so once you click and open Zoom, that is Zoom meeting, and the only difference is that it's an enterprise version of Zoom, and so there's a few extra features that are in there. But yes, you can send those registration links like that stage door, and we've had a few events that have needed to do that, where they didn't need a dashboard at all. They just needed to get people into Zoom, and you can do it through that way. And the advantage of that is that it still has a little extra layer of security. And it also, because you can't just share the Zoom meeting ID and things like that and have people join, they have to go through that link. And it's also a bit nicer branding and things like that. So it's a little bit different. But generally what we're thinking about is events more so than meetings or not just Zoom meetings. I'm talking about you're just doing a simple meeting. Obvio is obviously really designed for running an event, and often a multi-day event. And that's where you do want to have a dashboard. You want some extra information and some resources and some links and some things for people to access before, during, and after their event at the time that and so it is a better experience in general that when you're when that they're particularly when the meeting ends, right? Like when you close Zoom, and people may have heard me say this before. One of those things I think about is not kicking people out of Zoom at the end. I always try to be the last to leave. I try to be the last to leave. So that people have chosen to leave, they haven't been kicked out, and it's one of those things that I find it really jarring, particularly the more people that you're on. You imagine I say now, okay, thanks everyone, see ya, and I just end meeting for all, and it kind of just goes to a blank screen. It's like, wow, we had this great experience, and now I've just been pushed out the front door. See ya. So anyway, that's just touching on a little a thing for me that I get passionate about is allowing people to leave of their own choice, not being pushed out. And my point to that then is ideally when they leave, they're then seeing the dashboard, right? Like they've closed Zoom, now they're back and they're seeing the dashboard, and now you've got some calls to action, or you've got some some resources or some videos, some extra stuff where they're just still kind of connected to it. And so that's the difference, where it's not just another Zoom meeting. Now I'm back to my emails. Oh, that's right. Oh, there's this link I wanted to follow. I wanted to watch this video. I wanted to, get this PDF or something. So, but technically, to answer the question, 100%, you can totally use it without having a dashboard. Have people go straight to the Zoom meeting and do it that way. So for some things that will work well, and then For others, you want a full dashboard and have an event experience.
Well, my takeaways from what you just said was it's about the experience and the call to action that you
Right.
don't want to miss out on the opportunity of. And, to your point earlier, I mean, today, I don't know about anybody else, but today's the day 4 years ago, our country shut down. And I'm sure the world shut down, but our country shut down. So it's been really quite an experience of bopping and weaving in and out of these things that most of us weren't doing. And I've been on so many Zoom calls throughout since, because of ironically Berry and Blue that I knew nothing about 3.5 years ago until I was in these big event rooms. And and now trying to create my own experiences. And so I was just trying to figure out as I was listening to everybody, just, where do I want to take that? Certainly I want to grow this and, and feel comfortable doing it at the same time. So and I won't keep you guys any longer, but so in order for me to start building out my Obvio, I just go into my hub and I just start doing that, or how do I do that?
So with Obvio, you go to app.obvio, so app.obv.io. That's how you log into the
Okay.
admin of Obvio, right? And so that's how you log in. You'll see your organization, and then you'll create an event, and then you're up and racing. I've got a couple of there's on the dashboard that you came through. There's the workshops that Blue goes through with stepping through in detail about how to set up the event. I also did a few weeks ago. I just did a walkthrough of the platform that just explains a few things. Starting off from when you first log in to the admin.
Okay.
And so that was posted in the Facebook group. It's on the YouTube channel. There's a few places you can find that easily. And that'll just sort of familiarize yourself with the platform and think about what's possible. But yeah, as we've had people that are trying it just with basic meetings with a couple of people, that's the best way to do it. Setting up little
That
family
sounds
meetings
great.
or things like that. You set up a family meeting as if it's a full event. And that's a great way to use it and get familiar with it. So, but
That sounds really great.
it really is. I encourage everyone, particularly as you're starting out and smaller events, to think of it as much bigger. Think of it 10 times bigger than what it actually is. So that you're thinking about, how would I do this with 10 times more people? What systems would be slightly different? Because as I keep saying, if it works big, it works small. If the idea, if all of those systems are in place, then people feel like, wow, this is much more than just another Zoom meeting. This is being handled in a totally different way. And that feeling is what, that's what you're going after.
So I'm curious because I've had a podcast for the last 2 years, so everything has been recorded and uploaded on Zoom, but I wouldn't take my interviews through that dashboard. There'd be no reason to do that, right?
Yeah, as in your interviewees, you wouldn't bring them through a dashboard. Yeah. I wouldn't think so. I think there's not a lot to gain there, but the audience, depending on how you were doing that, and if you wanted to, do live recordings of the podcast and things like that, that'd
be super cool.
It is really cool to do podcasts that way, because you can have a bit of Q&A at the end as well.
I love that idea.
So, and that,
I'm
I
going to
mean, that,
present that to my producers actually when we have our meeting this week.
There
Because
you go.
that, to me, because I've actually put it on hold for this very reason, literally because I've wanted to make it more interactive, almost to the point of taking it live through like StreamYard or something, but being able to record it and then upload it onto the platforms. But that might be a really cool way to shift it and make it more of a show moment of its own platform, while giving people that opportunity of feeling like closer to the fire in that moment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the gathering of it all. So I love that.
That's
Thank you
great.
for that.
You're
I'm still
welcome.
very lost, but that gave me a moment. Thank you.
I'm glad. I'm glad we got a
so
moment
much.
in. You're welcome. Um,
Thank you. Bye.
no worries. So yeah, Bill, you were asking if we come through to Obvio through Leap, do we still go to app.obv.io? And yes, you do. That's how you access Obvio. And so that's how you'll access the admin section of and how you build out your dashboards and things. All right. So we're going around the circle a bit, but we've got Jeff. I'm looking at the office hours or the 3-day summit. Was it which event was it?
Yeah, so it would be the virtual 3-day summit, Q1.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Have a quick look at this. Hey, Blue.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, guys. Sorry I'm late. Jeff, did you get your Zap working?
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
got it working. So
Did I-
where we're
Did I
at,
see that you got that working, but you couldn't find where to broadcast from? Did I see that?
no, so we did the new purchase in Kajabi, Zap to create an attendee in Avio. Everything seems to be working. Couple where places we're stuck is, do we have to create a group in for the VIP? What do we call it? AA?
All access. So, do we have to create a group in Obvio for the all access so that when they go onto the dashboard, they won't see certain things?
Yeah, great question. So you don't actually have to create the group or tag in Obvio, but you do have to apply it in the Zap. So what you do is you edit your Zap,
Okay.
and on the step where you are creating, so first off, do you have two different Zaps? One Zap for general admission and one Zap for VIP?
Oh, do we? We do. She says yes.
Jeff, don't talk. Come on, man. Okay. So
You'll be an expert before long.
exactly. There's two ways to do this, but what I would probably do just to make, I think this would be visually appealing for you. I think you'd appreciate this, is in the general admissions app, you go to the action where Obvio is being created. Are you on the computer do you have access to that right now? Can you share your screen?
Yeah, we're looking at the Zap right now.
Okay, so you should be able to share your screen. Go ahead and share that window if you don't mind. I'll walk you through this. Okay, so go ahead and click on the three dot, I think, are you sharing just a section of your screen, or can you share the full window rather than okay, cool. So click on the pencil so you can edit that create Obvio in attendee. Just click on the pencil right there. Yep. All right, now let's go to action.
I'll let her do it.
Perfect. And then scroll down, and where it says groups, Just type in, is this the general admission one?
No, this is the all access one.
All right, so type in ticket. And then in the data right below it, the enter text or insert data, type in AA or all access. It doesn't matter to me, but AA is fine. Either one. Okay, great. Now press, I think you just press enter to get rid of that data or that drop down. Cool. Actually, no, yeah, click, I'm sorry, this is my fault. I made you create a line. Delete that line. You don't want that in there. There you go. Delete that. Perfect. Great. Close that and click continue. All right, now click retest step. Okay, great. So you see where it says under the login URL, it says groups and then group ticket all access. So now if you were to publish this Zap, when somebody purchases all access, they will automatically get the group in Obvio called all access. Now,
Where do
you
you
don't
see
need,
that group in Obvio?
I'll show it to you. You don't need to do the opposite for like if you wanted to, you could go into your general admission Zap and do the opposite where you make it ticket and then general admission. But I don't think you need to. Like I usually don't, right? Because you really only want to know, you don't you only need to know who one of the two groups are to know who everybody else is. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So go ahead and go to Obvio. And click on attendees. And now you see that Jeff has a ticket all access. So you see the group right there.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's part one. You have the group is created and anybody who purchases your all access ticket will have the group ticket equals all access.
Mhm.
So now the second part of that is you want to now show something specific only to your all access people, right?
Yeah.
What is it
Which-
that we want to show? What is it that we want to show them?
First of all, we want to hide that upgrade to all access button,
Cool. Got it.
and we want to add the recordings.
Perfect. Okay, so click on the gear for the upgrade to all access and go to rules up at the top and click add rule and click on the drop down arrow and select group. And now select group key and you'll see a drop down and select ticket. And you say is not. And then type in all access. And now click on the blue save button. Okay, so now the rule is associated with this. So if you just go ahead and click save. Okay, now click on preview up at the top. All right, so you'll see that the upgrade to all access button stays there. Scroll all the way up to the top. And click on the gear next to preview. And click add. And group. And now under group, type in ticket. And under value, type in all access. So what we're doing here, it was Rose, right?
Sarah.
Sarah. Rose is the other one. Sarah, sorry about that. So Sarah, what we're doing here is we're previewing, we're changing the preview to make it seem like you're looking at it as though you're all access.
Mhm.
So click on save.
Oh, okay. So
And now, and you see how the all access button disappears?
yeah.
Okay, cool. So just so that we don't get ourselves confused, go back into that gear and get rid of that, just click clear all. Yeah, and click save. Because otherwise, like for me, if I forget that the preview rules are on and I'll go and I'll turn on preview and I'm like, why can't I not see this button? So the next part is your recordings. Now, you don't have your recordings yet, right?
No.
Okay. But are you going to put your recordings into a blog? Is that what you're thinking, into a blog post?
I think we're gonna put them right here.
Okay. So let's just say that, so that's a blog post. So go ahead and let's turn off preview up at the top. So let's just say that that BCA event info was actually the blog post that had your recordings, right?
Yeah.
So what you would do is you would click on rules up at the top, and you kind of do the opposite of what you did for the upgrade to all access button, because the upgrade to all access button, we wanted to show it when ticket equals, or ticket is not equals to all access. But in this case, you want to do the opposite, which ticket is equal all access. So you click add, and you click the drop down, show component when, select group. And then under group key, select ticket, and then type in all access. And then click save, the blue save, and then the green save. So what that'll do is now if we were to preview, that BCA event info is going to disappear because you're not all access. Do you see how it's gone?
Yeah.
So now if you wanted to, you could click on the gear next to preview and add the group ticket and then make the value all access, and it will appear.
So the whole blog disappears?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
so-
wanted
so-
the video to
Now,
just
I totally get that you only want the video to disappear. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to create a blog post that is just for the recordings.
Ah.
Okay. But it stays in that same area. Okay. So I showed you how to do it with that BCA event info blog post. Of course, now you probably want to delete that rule out of that blog post, or it will only show up for your all access people.
Yeah.
But then there's a button where you can add additional blog posts and then call it like event recordings, and then disable it to start because there are none. But once you download and upload your event recording somewhere like YouTube or Vimeo or wherever, you can then
Awesome.
do that, do exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah. So it'll be like when all access VIP come in,
Mhm.
then they will only see the second one, or will they
No,
see
they'll see both because let's turn off preview and before we confuse ourselves, let's go in and remove that, edit that blog post that we just created, and go to rules and click on the ticket is all access and click on delete right at the top. And now click save. So we just removed that rule from that. Now click add blog post right at the top, right? That little kind of, yeah, there you go. And what I would do is I would disable it to start because you don't want anybody to see it until your recordings are actually there. And under title, put like event recordings or something along those lines. And then you go to rules, add a rule for group where ticket is all access. And then as you have your recordings available for embed, you add them to that blog post and enable the blog post, and then only all access people will see it.
Oh, okay.
Got it?
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Good job. Any other questions while you have me?
Yeah.
About if you go into attendees and there's leaderboard, I mean, you can access that, but in features, it's not here. And I want the attendee to be able to look at that, and it's not in features.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so go to it's kind of in a weird place. So go to attendees and go to points
No.
and click on page settings, top right. And you want to enable that. And then click, yeah, I know it's kind of hidden, like I said. And now what you do is you go back to design. And first off, if you click on preview and then you click on the little menu bar, the hamburger menu top left, yep, you'll see that the leaderboard actually shows up now. But that's kind of a hidden menu. So what I would do is I would add a button in your sidebar where you have like speaker page and so on. Actually, there you go, your leaderboard. So let's get out of close out the preview and let's edit that button and make sure that it's pointed to the leaderboard. Okay, so where it says page, click that and select leaderboard and then click save.
Okay,
Now,
yeah, that was.
no worries. Now, this won't, if you click on it from here, it won't work.
Mhm.
That button will only work as an attendee. So what you would have to do is like go into attendees and click on Jeff's attendee. And then next to that login URL, you can click copy paste, or if you just click the other icon, it'll open it in a new tab and it'll log you in as Jeff, right? As an attendee.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the button. Now sometimes it takes up to about 2 minutes for edits that you make on the dashboard to actually become live. So assuming the edit is live, when you click on leaderboard, it will take you to the leaderboard.
Okay. Well, thanks. Yeah, that's I think
else?
that's all. Maybe let's see.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And if Jeff doesn't pay you well enough, give me a call, okay?
Okay.
Good work.
Then also about the oops. Also about the image waterfall.
Yep.
How
Okay,
do you get
so
that work?
so the image waterfall under production, you're probably not going to use. Okay. That particular page is not meant for attendees can't get to that page. That is meant to be something that you display on a computer that is plugged into a video switcher that you share with your attendees in a different way. However, are you going to be having your attendees upload images? Are you planning on doing that?
Yeah, I'm also don't know how to add that button.
No worries. Okay. So let's go to features, or actually go to design.
Show them like TVE, how we did it, what you're thinking.
Yeah,
Wait,
I know what you're looking for.
Oh,
Okay, so scroll down. Where do you want to put the button where they can upload it?
it's up to you.
Okay, then I would just say like right here again, because I don't know, this is just where all our buttons are right now.
Okay. So let's create a button. And there's 2 buttons that you're going to need. One is the button that allows people to upload images. And then the other one is the button that allows people to see images that have been uploaded by attendees. Okay. So first things first, let's actually just save this for now and go to features and image entries. And click image waterfall settings.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not.
There we go. It's just slow.
Oh, exactly. Now just go ahead and enable that right up at the top. And there you go. And now let's go back to design. And go back to the button that is, yeah, that we just created. And you would put your text that says like, upload my image or something along those lines. And then the destination, you see where it's now, something else appeared. Yep, there you go.
Okay.
So now the image uploader, if you click save, when you actually, I don't think you can see it from here. Click on that button. Don't click on the gear, just click on the button. Yeah, you have to see it. You have to, the actual uploader you have to look at on the attendee page itself. So if you go, yeah, and let's scroll down, see if it's appeared yet. Okay, so click on button.
There it is.
So you can customize the text here. That text can be customized on the features image entries page under page settings.
Yeah.
What it says, sorry, image waterfall settings, not page settings. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see here, upload waterfall image, upload. That's where you can put the description of what you like, upload my picture of whatever, right? That's your description. Right above it where it says upload image is kind of the title that appears, that little bolder text that's up at the top of that image uploader pop-up screen. And then down at the bottom, the last entry is the name of the button that they click to upload the image.
Gotcha.
So approved action is about points. Given the fact that you're doing a leaderboard, you may want to create a custom point action.
Yeah.
That is like uploaded an image or something along those lines. And then come in here and select under approved actions the custom point that you create.
Give them 100 points.
Nice. Okay, now here's the thing. They only are going to get these points when you approve the image. So what happens when somebody uploads an image to the image waterfall system or the image entries system? We kind of call it both things, which is a little confusing, which I recognize. So if you go to features and then image waterfall or image entries, right now there isn't anything there. However, as your attendees upload images, previews of those images will appear on this page. And in order for them to first off, in order for them to get points, and second, in order for the images to appear on the image waterfall page, somebody has to approve the images. Okay, so it's a moderated system where somebody has to click, yes, that image makes sense. Yes, that image makes sense. And we do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, sometimes people upload multiple times the same picture, right? For one reason or another, that just happens. And then every once in a while, somebody will, I don't think this will happen with your audience, but sometimes people upload things that aren't appropriate to be seen. And we would just not approve those images. So you can approve or reject images on the image entries page. And rejected images just kind of go away. And approved images go to the approved area. And then the next time an attendee goes to the image waterfall page, they can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you've done one of the two things that you need to do to get your attendees to be able to do this thing. which is you've created the button to allow them to upload images. What you haven't done yet is they don't have a link or another button to be able to see the images that they or other attendees have uploaded yet, okay? So you'd go back to designs and you'd create a second button that is like view attendee images. And the link, the page that you would send them to, if you click the drop down under page, yeah.
Accidentally put caps lock on. Oops. Anyway,
You're fine. Yeah, you can change that later. So go ahead and click the drop down next to page. And you'll see image waterfall. So now if you save that, when an attendee clicks on that image, on that button, they'll see the, I think the 100 random images, only 100 images will ever load onto that page. And it's only images that you have approved that go there.
That's great.
Cool.
It's gonna be fun, right?
okay, so that's helpful. And then also about the question button, like submitting a question, like you
Yeah.
have here.
The same way we have that there. Sure. So how that's done is that's done with a form. So under features and forms, you would create a new form. We're going to call it ask a question. And then click on the ask a question. And it will open up the editor for the form. And you're going to probably want to, in this particular case, you would allow multiple submissions because usually people will be able to ask more questions than one.
Mhm.
Then the submit label, that's the text that goes onto the button. So ask my question or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then under submitted message, I think we have something along the lines of thanks for submitting your question. And then you scroll all the way down. The rest of that stuff is kind of, they're options, but you don't have to fill any of them out. Because you're doing points, you may want to create a point. You don't have to do it now, but after this call, you may want to create a point entry and give them points for submitting their questions, right? To encourage them to do that. So click add a question. And, you know, the label would be like, what's your question for Jeff? Or what's your burning question? Or how many fingers and toes do you have? You know, whatever it is that you want them to answer. What's your burning question? That's probably more appropriate. And then type would be, we would usually do long answer text and then just click save. You don't, I usually leave that stuff blank. You don't need to, but there you go. And then go up to the top and click save. Don't click out.
Oops.
Click on
Yeah.
ask a question. And click
So,
that to
yeah, this is one of those things that is something that we have to fix. That's not your fault. So submit label, you have to pretty much do everything that you just did again. But in the interest of time, do you mind just going to the top and clicking? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and do it. There you go. Click save.
long type. Long
Yep.
answer, click save. And then go to the top and click save.
Okay.
There you go. And now that you've done that, now go to design. And you click add a button. And in the destination, you see where it says link join area form. You click form. And then from the drop down, you select ask a question.
Okay.
Okay, and now the same way you can customize the buttons, that'll happen. But when you click on that button, a little form pops up that says ask a question and what's your question, and it allows them to submit it the same way you guys do. Now, for you to download those questions, if you go back to the forms section, under forms, the three dots, there's a little icon that says download submissions. And what that'll do is that will email you basically kind of like an Excel file. It's a CSV file that includes everybody, the person who asked the question's first name, last name, and email address, plus the answer to the question. So for now, that's how you get your questions. We're working on something else, which will be pretty cool, but it won't be available for your event, but hopefully soon after.
Okay.
But for now, that's how you get your questions.
Well, thanks. That's all.
You are welcome. All right. Awesome. Great questions. Thanks, guys.
Well done. Everyone
job.
everyone hung in there. That was good. There was a lot there. We were talking about Kajabi. There's some stuff, and so just as some of you are still sort of learning the platform. There is integrations into other CRMs and other systems. And so that's all that was about. There are multiple ways of being able to send data out, be able to get data back in to be able to then use on the dashboard. And so that's all that was about. But there was a few things in there. There was some basic sort of entry level things, and there was some advanced things in that as well. So hopefully it wasn't only helpful for Jeff's event, but also for everyone kind of picking up on some things and learning about some other ways that it works. So well done, everyone, hanging in there. We have got some other questions. Robin said, how do I kick someone out during the event if someone is being cranky? So something to remember is that in Zoom, there is the ability to remove someone. Now, you probably don't want to do that, in that what happens is that then disables the attendee's account, which means they can't join again ever. And so if you were just wanting to just kind of I don't know, remove them for a session or something, then that would not be the way to do it. So a couple of other ways. One is that you could put them in the waiting room. And so that would push them out and they'd be in the waiting room and they can't do anything there. Or you could also create a breakout room with just that one person, and then you could have a team member go and they can go to the principal's office and have to talk about their actions. And so that's an opportunity. Or you can just put them in solitary confinement, which is what a breakout room can do as well. So, but yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen too often. But you kind of set some ground rules for your event, particularly when it's free events and you sort of getting those first people in. You set the ground rules and then you could. It's probably more like people trying to spam or they're sending affiliate links in the chat and they're trying to get people to sign up to things or whatever. You can kind of try to stop them from doing that. So yeah.
So can I want to, Robin, just add something to that. I'm with Grant 1000%. The last resort is to remove them from Zoom. Okay. And the reason for that is really, like Grant said, you can't reverse that. Like there's nothing you can do or we can do to let them back into Zoom. So if they happen to email you and be like, hey, Robin, I'm so sorry. I'll never do that again. Please let me back in. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, you're fine. Yeah, you can come back in, except you can't. Right? So the moment you remove them from Zoom, it's over. You can't get them back into this event. You can get them back into the next event, but not this one. Okay. So the other thing you can do, in addition to the things that Grant mentioned, is you can remove them from your attendees list. Now, that doesn't remove them from Zoom in that moment, but the moment they leave and come back, or let's say on a break, you decide, we're going to just shut down this room. I have to reset a couple of things in Zoom, right? So if you shut down Zoom and then reopen, everybody else will be able to get in. That one person won't be able to. And the attendee list in Obvio, that you can change, right? So that's another tool that you have at your disposal. That of course works better for, between days 1 and 2, right? Like, I don't want this person back tomorrow. It's a little harder mid event, and a little less useful mid event, but it is
So
there
if
for
it's
you.
mid-event and I want them to go away, how would I quickly get rid of them?
And if you're 1,000%, if you are one like gazillion% positive, you're
Yeah.
not going to change your mind,
Yeah.
remove them from Zoom.
So how do I do that?
You go into the participant list, hover over their name, click the 3 dots, and click remove.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
know that there's no one, like, we're like, both Grant and I are like kind of like, they're just to like be really sure, because we have both been in
Yeah.
situations like in the last 4 years where a client comes to us and is like, I am done 100% no, kick that person out. And then we do. And like 15 minutes later, it's like, oh, they called customer support, they apologized. And, I didn't realize they were a paying client, they're a mastermind member. So we kind of have to let them back in. Right. And we're like, hey, except we can't. So
Well, I'm customer support, so if I'm in the middle of a meeting and somebody's going off on some tangent about whatever, I don't want it to affect the rest of the people, because people
hey, listen,
seem
I don't disagree with you. I think that there's, the removal function is there. It works.
okay.
Just permanent.
No
That's the
problem
only
with that.
that's the only thing.
Yes.
You say that now. You
Well,
say that.
it's a free event. So I mean, if they're paying for it, I can throw them into timeout room and we can have a discussion afterwards if they want to come into the next day that they've paid for. But, I would think with conversations I've had in different college groups, I would just assume say, here's your money back and have a nice
No,
day.
I get it. So the other
Yeah.
thing is, something that's interesting is if you remove their, like, I'm gonna talk this out with you for a half a second, right? Because the timeout feature, like the breakout thing, is actually pretty useful in combination with removing them from Obvio. Okay. Because when you open up breakouts and you put people into a breakout, there's a setting inside of Zoom that is like, allow attendees to return to the main session, right? So as long
Okay.
as you turn that off, you can put them into a breakout and they can't come back, except they can, because they can leave the meeting and rejoin. Okay. But if you remove them from Obvio and you put them into a breakout time, like into a timeout, when they leave the meeting, they can't get back in.
Okay.
Right. So again, I'm saying this with an abundance of caution, because like, use remove with an abundance of caution, because both myself and Grant have been in situations where we have been a gazillion% positive this person is never going to be allowed back in. Hey, you remember what I told you about that person never going to be allowed back in? What can we do to get them back? Or anything that we can do? Like I know you said there was nothing, but is there something, like anything we can do to let them back in? Maybe something, because, they came, they apologized. Their mother said he'll never do it again. He got spanked, whatever. I don't care. No, nothing we can do. Right. So if you just be aware, I can't say this is not just for you, actually. I'm saying this for everybody, right? Use the remove feature with an abundance of caution. There's a better way to do it. And I would use a combination of remove them from Obvio, put them in a breakout timeout. They'll try and leave and come back in, especially if they're a pain in the ass, and they won't be able to.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. I won't call you and say, Blue, remember?
Yeah, you will.
Right?
Yeah, you will. You will. You will.
Billion.
I promise.
I am gonna get a call from you.
I'll
Be
buy
like,
you some
I've
bourbon
got
if
an
I ever do
emergency,
that.
an emergency, Blue. You remember how I said I'd never remove somebody and want them back in? I kind of do. Is there anything we can do? Were you just kind of like, grandstanding? Is there something we can do? Nope.
I'll give you some bourbon if I ever do that.
Yeah. 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 And be okay with the answer being no.
No, that is totally fine.
So, staying with Robin for a second, you also had another one that my dashboard's not complete, but attendees have already registered. Is that something I need to be careful of when completing the dashboard, that it won't screw up the attendee? So you've already got, have they got links to the dashboard as well? They've registered, but do they have their link?
Yes. So I like disabled everything except the, couple buttons saying to go to the main stage, which, they can't get into. And I just want to know if there's like a, be careful you don't do this while I'm creating it, since there's already attendees in there, because I'm a really great active troubleshooter to go, oh, why did you do that? And I don't, I don't, those are the kind of things I don't want to get to.
Well, the good thing is there really isn't anything in the time that an attendee is created, like in the life of your event. If they're created a week before your event or an hour before your event, the experience is the same. So it's more just about how you think about your dashboard setup and when you make it available for people to see.
They put themselves in there. Like I put the link out to sign up, and
Okay.
so they put themselves in there. So I disabled everything before. It was kind of a test. I threw out some
Yeah.
chatter about the event, and then I had a whole bunch of people want to register, and I didn't want to lose them. So
Fair enough.
okay.
No, that's great. Yeah, and so then you can just make changes as it gets closer to the event, and that's the other thing with the dashboard, is that those live changes happen. As Blue said before, it can take up to a couple of minutes for changes to happen, but they do happen live. People don't have to refresh their dashboard to be able to see changes. So if you were making some changes along the way and people had the dashboard open, they would start to see those changes push through once you'd saved them.
So when I send the welcome letter, is there a way to test it, to send it just to like myself as the test attendee, rather than it going out to everybody, just to make sure it lands
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. So there's a test function. You can send a test to yourself.
Oh, that's
so-
right.
And so that'll send. Just be aware that it's not pulling if you have data in there, the sort of first name, last name, and email, and the magic link and things like that. In the test, it just puts dummy data in there. And so just so you see something, but you might see a random name in that test, and you'll be like, where did that come from? It's because it's not pulling on it if you didn't have any attendee data, for example, and you're setting up your broadcast, you can do a test and it'll just put some random data in there so you can see that it's working. And of course, the link won't work, things like that. But that's how that test works. You can also do filtering, and so you could create a broadcast, and we do this sometimes when we're just testing with a team, and so we have 10 people in our team, and we'll go and tag each of our team members, with internal test or whatever, and now we send a broadcast filtered tag equals internal test, and now all those 10 people get it, and they can all give their feedback on on it before we send it out to the full attendee list. So
Okay.
there's a few options
So
there.
I have to create a tag for that. Okay.
Or just a way of filtering, yeah. So it could be a group, or it could be a tag, or however you want to do it.
I'll get with Jeff and see if he can ship his daughter over here for a couple days.
Yeah, that's right. Nice work.
Okay, thank you.
I would just like to remind everybody that Jeff's daughters can do the work from home. They don't need to come to you. So no travel required. Okay. And they're charging $1,000 per dashboard. And you're allowed 3 changes once they provide you with your original draft. Okay.
Like $1,000? You're like, this sounded like a joke until you said $1,000. They're like, we're in. Let's do this. All right.
Their Venmo address is Jeff_Christiansen.
So Jeff is back asking about when will the sales page, marketplace, and certificate based on stats be available?
Great question. Okay, so marketplace, we are still aiming for the end of the month, which is fast approaching. Certificates I saw a working version of it about 3 days ago. And it's awesome. The only challenge, there's a couple of changes that our lead developer wanted in terms of how it's made. So it's probably going to be about another week or so. But Jeff, in terms of how it works, like how the certificates work, it's exactly what you and I talked about. Like you upload a single page
Sweet.
PDF, you add text that can have formattable text along with like the ability to select Google fonts. You can add merge tags in, right? So first name, last name, groups, email address. So if you have school name or something along those lines, that can be added to the certificate. And then you link the certificate to a button on the dashboard and use rules for visibility. And you can have as many certificates as you want, and of course, as many buttons as you want that link to the various certificates. It's pretty slick.
Very cool. Awesome. And excuse me, maybe this was linked with Marketplace, but is the sales page a separate feature, or are you launching that with Marketplace?
It is Marketplace. They're the same thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Perfect timing. Thanks.
So Marla has a question. When do you recommend setting up separate organizations under my account? Or is it best to work under one organization and create separate events? How do I connect my event in Obvio with Searchy so recordings automatically sent? Okay. So the key thing to remember with organizations is that there are 3 things that an organization is different from each organization. One is, and the biggest one, is the team access. So you can have as many events under organizations as you like. It's unlimited events, but the team access to all of those events is based on the organization at the organization level. So you can't have an event in the same organization with different team access to that, meaning people that log into the admin of Obvio and can make changes to it. So a big clear way of separating out is to say, I have a slightly different team for this group of events and a different team for this event. And so that's how you could do your organizations. The other thing is the broadcast. So what email address it comes from is an organization setting. And also we're talking about with Marketplace then, Marketplace being able to sell tickets soon. There's a Stripe connection that allows you to receive payment. That's at the organization level as well. And so there's a couple of those things. So you can have, if you're at a pro account or you're elite member, then it's you can have 3 organizations. And so they can be very handy. And the other thing is that you can rename them, you can change them around. And so it's all, and you can even move events between organizations and things if you need to too. So there's lots of flexibility with that. And you're asking about Searchy. So someone was asking in Facebook as well about where do you find the the token. So what you're looking for, let me see if I can bring that back up. I'll just show you when we go to services. Okay, I'll just share this here. Yeah, so I went to attendees and services, and then just here, access tokens. And you can hit create, and there's an access token. You'll put that into Searchy, where you search for the Obvio app on Searchy. You put that in. This is at the event level, okay? And so it's specifically tying it to the recordings that happen for an event will then get sent to Searchy when you use the Searchy app.
Yeah, I think it actually goes a little bit deeper than that. So once you give it the login token, you then have to select an area
Which
and
area?
the room,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and the room.
Right.
And you can inside of Searchy, you can add multiple areas and multiple rooms from the same event, right? So if you have breakouts, or like if you have concurrent sessions, or if you have two different things happening at the same time or at different times in different areas, you can import both of those things automatically into Searchy. But it is by each integration at the Searchy level is by room.
Yeah. And Kat was asking you about recordings as well.
I was wondering if I have a multi-hour recording, Blue is best prep, and I want to share it with everyone who attended the event on the dashboard. Should I put that in a blog post? Forgive me, I feel like you were talking about it when I got in. Wrong time zone change.
Yeah, I mean that generally a blog post is going to be, and we've done it in a couple different areas, but usually when it's just like a single video, adding a blog post is generally what works best for us.
And it doesn't matter how long it is.
So remember that the blog post is just housing the embed of the video. The video needs to be hosted somewhere else. So so if that's in Searchy or you have a Vimeo account or a YouTube, so you need to take that recording, upload it to a video hosting platform, like Searchy, and that could happen automatically. That transfer could happen automatically with Searchy, or you're downloading the recording and uploading it to Vimeo or to YouTube or something, and then you take that and put that in a blog post. So there is no video hosting that Obvio does.
Got it. So
Yeah.
I really just put the link that points to somewhere else, correct?
Correct. Well, no, it's not just a link. So if you look at this event, the updates event, you can see that I've got a playlist of YouTube videos of all of the recordings, and that's sitting in as a blog post. And so I was able to embed a YouTube playlist. And so now, and it's always showing the latest one as the first thing that you see. So yeah, you don't have to just put a link to it. It's actually embedding it. And that's the difference.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Priscilla, was there? I did miss a hand raise before. I'm doing a 1 hour talk fundraiser. I was going to use Eventbrite. Now it's obvious to use Obvio. How can I link payment for registration and also a donate button for those wanting to donate more? Sounds like a job for Marketplace. So we don't, we haven't got a way to sell tickets at the moment. That's what our Marketplace feature is that we're hoping to have in the next couple of weeks. Apart from that, some people are able to do it using a third party service and the integrations that we have with some of those other CRMs. And so then you can create payment pages there. Once the registration is made, it sends to Obvio. Obvio creates the attendee, and sends back the magic link. And now that's able to be sent out as an email, or an email can be sent from Obvio as well. But it was, so you can also do it more manually, where you can just have a payment page in any number of systems like PayPal or Stripe, or anywhere where you can just receive money. You take the registration, you do an export of all the people that purchased, and then import that into Obvio as attendees, and then send the link out to everyone. So it obviously depends on how you want to do how you want to handle those last minute registrations that you inevitably have. And then your donate button could also just be a button like a PayPal donate button that you could embed in a blog post on the dashboard as well. If you wanted, once they had access to the dashboard, then they can hit donate. That takes them to that donate page, and that's where they go. Do you have other questions on that?
Yeah, no, I think that's clear. This is something that I'm doing more immediately, and this is my first Q&A here, and I'm just like, why aren't I using Obvio for this? Because I just think, I'm about creating magnificent, immersive opportunities, and then also it gives me practice, so I'm ready to dive in. Like, I just want to get my teeth around this, and so I know Blue has mentioned Stripe, and I can figure it out, because Eventbrite's fine, but if I can start with this, then it's just so much more exciting and compelling for me. So I'll play with it, and if it's taking too much time, I'll just roll forward. But and I guess the other question I have, may I ask another question?
Yeah.
Is that, so with the kind of the value ladder, I'm looking at doing a 1-hour talk initially for the fundraiser for the charity that I'm launching right now. It's like, go big or go home. Like, this leap has really encouraged me to just live that bigger vision. And so, but I'm like, well, that 1-hour talk could probably be the 1-hour talk for my 3-day event. And then I'll have an 8-week course. And as I'm listening to this and seeing the platform, I'm like, well, can I just create different profiles? So for the 1-hour event, the 8-week course, a 3-day event, and even a mastermind, so that people have the engagement through dashboard.
You totally can. I'll be interested to hear Blue's thoughts on it as well. What we're talking about there are events, and so you can have under the organization, you have a separate event for the 1 hour and a separate event for the 8-week course, and so you can create those tailor-made dashboards specifically for it. The only thing you need to think about is there crossover between the attendees, and are they they're essentially needing to register in those 3 different ways, or do you want it where they can sign up once and they're able to access all the different forms? But Blue, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the monkey wrench that you just threw at her, you can do what you're talking about. The one thing that, I think it's fair to say the marketplace system is designed to sell event tickets, is really what it's designed to do. It's not designed to sell other things. So I was just actually answering Miriam on donations in the chat, right? So it's not designed to allow you to accept donations. You'd have to have another way that your attendees can do that. Now, that can be a link to a PayPal page. That can be a link to a Stripe page. That can be a link to any other platform that allows you to accept donations through your online payment processor. That link can be on the dashboard, of course, but Obvio itself isn't designed for that. The other thing, as you're thinking about courses and masterminds, it won't necessarily be ideal for selling those 2 things at launch anyway. Reason for that is it's not designed with payment plans in mind. And most people who sell a course or sell a mastermind are going to be looking for like 3 payments of $497 or something along those lines, right? So it really is designed to sell event tickets, which generally speaking don't have a payment plan associated with them, at least not these days. We do have I have on my roadmap, like on my wish list of what Marketplace can do, is the ability to sell non-event based products, as well as to have payment plans that you can then manage inside of Stripe. It's a little bit convoluted, but that is like, let us get Marketplace out the door before we even start thinking about what we're going to do with it after we have it out the door. So yeah, those are a couple things just to think about.
Yeah, no, that's great because it just helps me focus, and narrow and take things out of my mind and just move on to the next best step, and then excited about Marketplace. So
Me too. It's going to be awesome.
That's great.
thank you, Bob.
I have to exit, Blue, but there are no more questions that have been posted, so I'll leave it to you. Bye, everyone. Great to see you.
Hi, Grant. All right, all. Well, seeing as there were no other questions in the chat, does anybody else have any questions in the last couple of minutes we have left, or do we all get an extra 12, 13 minutes in our day? Nope. David, you are unmuted. What's up?
Okay, and I muted myself back. Blue, I have a quick question about Zoom, and I'm wondering if it's connected with new preferences in Obvio. Normally, under the Show Captions button, you select your language or whatnot, and then there's typically been on both the Obvio calls and on Leap program calls an option to view transcript. Not to download the transcript, but to view it, a little right side pop-out window. That's not happening right now. And on the last Leap call, I talked to one of the new assistants who was on that call, and she wasn't familiar with it, and she was going to talk to the tech staff. So I'm just wondering, is this a Zoom thing? I am running the latest version of Zoom.
It's not a Zoom thing. It was a change that we made to the Obvio Zoom account, not show the transcript.
Okay.
We have a couple of things that are coming in the next like 3 to 4 months, which includes a little bit of individualized customization for your event around Zoom settings. Because and that's one of the things that we're going to open up. But for now, and I'll just be perfectly blunt, I have a couple of enormous clients that don't want people to see the transcript for whatever reason. And I didn't necessarily, they're like, we don't want them to be able to go back and review, right? It's kind of like, it's the same thing if you've ever been on a YouTube live where you can't rewind. That's a setting where somebody has actually turned off the ability for you to rewind a live stream. That's because that user wants you to just watch it live. And the transcript is kind of like being able to rewind an event. So, for a number of reasons, that is something that we've chosen to turn off for now. You give me another 2 weeks and I can turn it off, or I can turn it back on pretty easily. And then if you give us a couple more months, you'll be able to turn that setting on or off when you create your Zoom, your events yourself. So it is going to be one of the features that we kind of make visible to you guys.
So if I understand you correctly, this is a change you've made that's global across the platform. So with Leap, there will still be once the program recordings go up, they'll still have the searchy transcript, etc.
100%.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah.
I just want to make sure this wasn't some weird thing that was happening with my Zoom,
No,
Okay.
No, it's not. And under recordings inside of Obvio, the transcript is still technically being recorded. It's not being made visible in the moment within the app. That's the difference. So after the event, you can still you don't have to have a platform that creates transcripts. You can still download the transcript from Zoom. It's just your participants can't see it inside of the platform.
Okay, so nothing's getting lost.
Nothing's getting lost. It's the setting that's been turned off temporarily.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, any other questions? Sweet. Well, listen, I hope you all have an amazing week. And I will talk to everybody next week. If you have questions between now and then, don't forget there is the live chat function between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. inside of the Obvio application. You can also post questions in the Facebook group, as well as email us at help@obv.io. We're all pretty quick at answering questions. I usually say expect a 24-hour turnaround on email, but Monday to Friday, at least during working hours, you'll get a response pretty quickly. So with that, I'll say thanks a lot. Appreciate you all, and looking forward to sharing big news with you guys in the future. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.